Good night, listener, or good whatever time of day it is for you. If it is the morning, good afternoon, and if it is the evening, good morning. That was a bit of a poetic style start to the Josh Bloom podcast today. I am the host of the show, Josh Bloom, and I am here to say, welcome. I hope you will stay, and if you are not going to stay, that you will go away. Which is the same as not staying, so we both get what we want. That's nice. Hello, it is Josh Bloom, and I'm going to use my Josh Bloom voice now. It has been a wild week for me as I am going through the last little tweaks on the book I have been discussing for weeks. I am going to celebrate by using one of my movie gift certificates to see the new Ari Aster film Eddington, which I will be taking notes during and shooting a come with me to see video for my YouTube channel. So basically diving right back into other creative work, which means an upcoming Substack piece on the new Ari Aster film Eddington, which means that you should subscribe to my Substack. Do it at a premium level so I can make a few bucks for providing a few yucks. Yucks means laughs in case you have never heard that word used that way. I am not above telling you that as a starving artist, which is what I am these days as a writer, author, poet, content creator, podcaster, struggling humorist, and dime store philosopher, that it does not pay well. And so I come to you, begging right into your ears or your one ear if you are a person who only uses one earbud, which is weird, but perhaps you have your reasons. As I mentioned, the book is now in the final stages of completion. This has been a process that I would have never been able to understand at the outset, and now I am having to allow myself to let go of. I am sure that I will feel depressed when it is handed over, but then the new process of promoting it will begin. I will be letting you know how to pre-order this book, and I will expect you to pre-order this book because I need to look like I can sell some books in order to convince the next publisher to take a chance on a writer, author, poet, content creator, podcast, struggling humorist, and dime store philosopher like me. Actually, not like me, actually me. Also, when typing this, I accidentally wrote dome store philosopher instead of dime store, and so had to stop to compose the following joke. Someone offering cliches about the meaning of life in the restaurant supply house section where cloches are contained is known as a dome store philosopher. Since the theme of the week is vulnerability and the theme of the introduction is begging for money, you can always capitulate and buy me a coffee. It is so easy to do. I mean, if you want to visit me and actually buy me a coffee, fine, but I will likely expect food as well. If you want to go to buymeacoffee.com/Josh Bloom and spend $3, which will be subject to fees and a minimum amount of accumulated donations before I can withdraw it, well, it's the thought that counts. I am a member of the Panera Sip Club, at least until they kick me out, so I will be okay for now. This is episode number 42 of the Josh Bloom will use yet another email address in order to pretend he is a new member of the Panera Sip Club so he can pay the new member fee podcast, also known as the Josh Bloom Podcast. It is the latest edition of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump Administration, days 187 through 193. Frankly, I don't even remember what I discussed this week, but it probably was related to disgust and being disgusted. I will listen along with you later to find out just what the hell I was talking about. Oh, but wait, I am about to write it down and then tell you anyway. Isn't that convenient? This week on the show, as I said, the theme is vulnerability. And so on day 187, I asked Chat GPT how I could become 10% more vulnerable because my therapist told me when he listened to the podcast, he thought I was about 90% of the way there, meaning I was holding back. And he would know because he has had to put up with my bullshit for a long time. He has been a real Josh Bloom team player. How does this relate to the album Songs from the Big Chair by Tears for Fears? Stay tuned. On day 188, I pretty much lost my mind on MAGA. Remember, this podcast is currently about ignoring the Trump administration, but sometimes I just can't do it, and I shouldn't just do it, because these people are reprehensible. I explain why both Benjamin Netanyahu and Hamas are both giant pieces of crap, and I continue by pointing out some other giant pieces of crap, and then I mention a goddess on earth named Patti Smith, who is the antithesis of that. Day 189 is the celebration of the unlucky number 13, which is not unlucky when it comes to being 13% through the final term of the leader of the Trump administration, who is one of the pieces of crap that I mentioned the day before. Did you know that the leader of the Trump administration was caught cheating at golf in Scotland this week? Even if you didn't know, you know. You know? I bring up Ted Knight as Judge Smales in Caddyshack just to keep myself from getting too angry. Day 190 is a prophetic day. I talk about the fear of revealing too much to someone you are interested in and how that fear can keep you from revealing just enough to move the relationship forward. It's called vulnerability, baby, and that is the theme of the week. This is prophetic because I was gearing up to do just that with my crush, and I don't want to jinx it, but it paid off. I admit that it was a stretch to connect these thoughts with the film Weird Science, but that paid off too. On day 191, I talk about a song lyric that is stuck in my mind as it relates to the Trump administration, and that song lyric is, "We went through hell just to get to hell." You'll have to stay tuned to find out who sings this amazing song, but I can at least let you know that it is somehow tied to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but not how you think. Was that enough of a build-up to keep you listening? Great. I also mentioned the artists Elliott Smith and Sleater Kinney. Maybe that'll do it. Here's a bit of a twist that I don't mind revealing. On day 193, I have to apologize for day 192. On day 192, I responded to that old chestnut of a comment, "But you're not ignoring," and I use it to pick on the commenter in a way that was just too easy. And of course, I use the opportunity to mention the song Easy by the Commodores, but then use that to belittle the commenter further. You will hear what happens. Then, on day 193, I admit the error of my ways from the previous day. Beyoncé and Lady Gaga, the singers of the song Telephone, would not be proud of me for having phoned it in. This is something I will never do again. It did not feel good, but since the theme is vulnerability, at least I gained some insight by confessing to this unacceptable digression. The standard I have upheld during 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration will not be compromised again. As usual, if you want to watch a compilation of all of this week's original TikTok posts, they are compiled in one video on YouTube. A link is in the show notes. I would really appreciate it if you went to my YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button. You can also reach the Buy Me a Coffee link in all of my social media by going to superjews.com. That's superjews.com. Thanks as always for listening, and now let's get into 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. I will be checking to see if my crush has texted me back, even though he said he had to work now. That's just how I am. I always hope for a surprise. I will see you on the other side. Day 187 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. I want to let you know that I am feeling vulnerable today on day 187 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. I am feeling vulnerable because, as I mentioned yesterday, I am trying to feel vulnerable. Chat GPT congratulated me when I told it that my therapist, after listening to the Josh Bloom podcast, said that he felt that I was 90% of the way to full vulnerability. He didn't actually put it quite like that, but I am putting it quite like that for entertainment value. Chat GPT told me, quote, if your therapist feels you're 90% there, it means you're already practicing vulnerability in big ways. That reminds me of the album Songs from the Big Chair by Tears for Fears, a band named for a state of vulnerability. Have you listened to the song Head Over Heels recently? It's fantastic. Chat GPT went on to add, quote, that's a beautiful and brave goal. Thanks, Chat GPT. But really, part of being vulnerable is lowering my guard and not making light of the fact that I am trying to be more vulnerable. I don't want to end up like the leader of the Trump administration. Some may take an easy opportunity to land a cheap insult in the comments by saying, oh, well, you never will. You will never be rich. You will never be powerful. You will never be famous. They will say this thinking I am interested in being rich, powerful, and famous. I'm not. When I say I don't want to end up like a leader of the Trump administration, I mean I don't want to be isolated, hated, and revered only by people who were either manipulated by me or afraid of me. There was a time in my life when I was actually quite close to being exactly that. I will admit that part of why I am so repulsed by the leader of the Trump administration is because I recognize those behaviors in him, and I can see how I used to be in the way he treats people. The reason I changed and became the 90% vulnerable person that Chat GPT congratulates today is because I was unhappy, angry, and frustrated with life. Not because I lacked money, influence, or notoriety. I had more of that at the time than I do now. It was because I could not connect with other people on a human level. I see that in the leader of the Trump administration and the people he gathers around him, also known as the Trump administration. It appears to me that he gathers these types of people around him because they share the same shortcomings. I know what that is about, too. Many of the quote-unquote friends I had at the time I was more of a shithead are no longer in my life because we are no longer alike. I am proud to have shared this with you today, and I hope to continue to mine my vulnerability for inspiration as I continue to ignore, the Trump administration. Day 188 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. While literal babies starve to death in Gaza, MAGA Congresswoman Lauren Boebert's oldest son, who is 20 years old and has made her a grandmother at the age of 36, has been arrested again. I do not speak out very often, if at all, about world events. But as a Jewish person, something has perplexed me since October 7, 2023. I have not understood the ideas put forth that if you support the innocent people of Palestine, you are anti-Semitic. Or if you support the innocent people of Israel, you are pro-genocide. I am neither of those things. I hate Benjamin Netanyahu because he is just like the leader of the Trump administration, another power-hungry piece of shit. And I hate Hamas, who is just like the leader of the Trump administration and Benjamin Netanyahu, another bunch of power-hungry pieces of shit. I support the people, the innocents, those in Gaza, in Israel, in the United States of America, who are trying to live their lives and do good for their families and just get through the motherfucking day. That is who I support. You know who isn't one of those people? Lauren Boebert and her stupid kid. Entitled rich scumbags. This is what I'm talking about on day 188 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. I'm talking about people around the world, also people in Ukraine who are suffering, who have been suffering because of Putin. Anywhere people are suffering under the rule or because of the rule of rich, entitled, cowardly scumbags, those are the people I'm talking about today. I advocate for the people to have the power, just like Patti Smith sang in her 1988 song of the same name. People have the power. And why do these people suffer? Because of people like the leader of the Trump administration. I am tired of these adult men who for some reason didn't get enough love when they were babies, and when they grew up didn't get themselves to a motherfucking therapist, and so now are taking that out on the populations of countries. You cannot rise to power unless you have some kind of ambition to affect the lives of others. And those politicians who do have that kind of ambition, who want to affect the lives of others in a positive way, are few and far between, but they exist. But Hamas is not. Netanyahu is not. Putin is not. The leader of the Trump administration is not. And MAGA Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, her name sounds like a goddamn idiot. She is not. Supporting positive leaders is what I implore. Please ignore the Trump administration. Day 189 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. I am not a self-help guru. Well, we're waiting. I'm just trying to help myself. 13 is an unlucky number. Do we agree? But we are lucky today because today, day 189 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration, we are 13%. 13% through the final term of the leader of the Trump administration. And while we celebrate that, where is he right now? He is in Scotland, continuing to not do shit for anybody but himself. And what he is doing for himself, because I am keeping it light today, is he is cheating at golf. He was caught on camera with his caddy throwing a golf ball out for him to play, pretending that was where the leader of the Trump administration hit it. But should we be surprised? Should we be surprised that this dumb, tiny dick dude is busy cheating at golf? He cheats at golf more than Judge Smales in Caddyshack, who, even as a fictional character, I trust more than the leader of the Trump administration, because Judge Smales was portrayed by the comedic genius Ted Knight. Of course, we're not surprised that the leader of the Trump administration cheats at golf, because he is a cheater at life. He is a cheater on his wife. He is a cheater on his wife. He is a cheater on his wife. I said it 3 times because that is the amount of wives he cheated on. Boom. I want to remind us all, as I do when we hit these milestones, that the reason for the existence of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration is to remind us to consume less information. The information stream is nonstop, and it is meant to destabilize our mindfulness, our optimism, and our hope about the future as a wannabe dictator who is not a wannabe dickhead tries to control the population of the nation. When we are consuming less information, that gives us more time to spend with the ones we love, more time to offer ourselves to those around us who need our help, and more time to better ourselves and our lives. Do not do like teeny tiny D and cheat on all 3 wives. Do like a normal-sized person and stick to one relation, and together you can ignore the Trump administration. Day 190 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. I am concerned that I will reveal too much on day 190 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. We have been talking about vulnerability. Let's say you're talking to someone new. You need to be vulnerable so that this new person will begin to trust you, and you can reveal that you are interested in them, which is projecting strength. But then again, you don't want to be too open because you'll look like a weirdo. You can say that exact thing. I'm interested in you. I enjoy chatting with you. I think it would be nice to get to know you. But I am concerned that telling you this reveals too much. I am concerned you might feel overwhelmed. I don't want that, and I just thought I would tell you. If you are honest like that and this person rejects you for expressing vulnerability while projecting strength, well, then you have just saved a lot of time. Anyone who is cool will find this vulnerability honest, appealing, and adorable. I will tell you that observing the leader of the Trump administration, he is a disaster at this. As we have seen in terms of romantic relationships, he is not able to maintain them. As we have seen, he is not able to maintain friendships. His one friend Jeffrey is no longer living and put him on a very disgusting list. Worst of all, for all of us, he is only able to establish and maintain relationships with other world leaders who are also mentally ill, like him. He talks about receiving love letters from murderous dictator Kim Jong-un. Other, not insane world leaders express vulnerability while projecting strength, while the leader of the Trump administration says he projects strength, but other, not insane world leaders seem to think he projects weird vibes. That reminds me of the comedy film Weird Science, which is fun to watch on a third date. This creates a precarious state in the world, and as far as the women he has encountered, many have hurled. But seriously, many have hurled. But seriously, the next time you are talking to someone who you are curious about and interested in, instead of holding back and feeling frustration, express vulnerability while projecting strength, and you might find something you have in common is ignoring the Trump administration. Day 191 of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump Administration. I am not a self-help guru. My name is Josh Bloom. I'm just trying to help myself. The leader of the Trump administration and the Trump administration are still working on taking us to the bottom. It is only day 191 after all, so please continue to ignore. But this reality did remind me of a song lyric today. Have you ever heard of a band called Quasi? Have you ever heard of a band called Sleater-Kinney? Well, that band Sleater-Kinney used to have a drummer, and that drummer's name is Janet Weiss. Now, there is a character in the Rocky Horror Picture Show named Janet Weiss. This is not that Janet Weiss. Also, Sleater-Kinney has a guitarist named Carrie Brownstein, who you may know from the television show Portlandia. It's a small world. Janet Weiss is one of the most amazing rock drummers that has ever existed. This drummer, Janet Weiss, in addition to the time that she spent in a band called Sleater-Kinney, is also in a duo called Quasi. Now that I've explained that to you, I will let you know that this band called Quasi has a song called The Poisoned Well, and this song, The Poisoned Well, has a lyric that is a very memorable lyric for these times and otherwise. I have always loved this lyric, and the lyric is, "We went through hell just to get to hell." And that is what living in America with the leader of the Trump administration and the Trump administration can sometimes feel like if we choose to let ourselves feel this way. It can feel like we are living through hell just to get to hell because this dude and the dudes and dudettes around him drum up all sorts of nonsense every single day to distract us from our mindfulness, optimism, and hope. And it is not going to be tolerated, just like you should not tolerate that drum up pun I just made as we are discussing a drummer named Janet Weiss. One way to ignore the Trump administration is to expand our consciousness when it comes to great art, and great art includes music, and music includes the band Quasi, and also includes the band Sleater-Kinney, mostly when they still had a drummer named Janet Weiss. I am telling you about these bands with the hope that you have never heard them before, because then you get to hear them for the first time. Because if you are someone who has already heard them, then you already know what the hell I am talking about. In fact, this song, The Poisoned Well, is widely believed to be about another musician, and that musician is Elliott Smith, one of the finest songwriters to have ever lived and a friend of the members of Quasi. Elliott passed away too young by his own hand, a tragic loss for our generation. If there is any kind of salvation from this situation, it is that he did not have to go through hell to get to the hell of the Trump administration. Day 192 of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. I received this very unique comment today on day 192 of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump Administration, and that unique comment is, but you're not ignoring. Now, when I say unique comment, I am being sarcastic because this is the comment I receive most frequently across all platforms. In my role as the host of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump Administration, I like to think I am providing an opportunity for any and all of the leader of the Trump administration's cult members to be able to leave a comment that satisfies their needs. To do that, I must provide an opportunity for a comment that is easy to grasp, as in easy for the follower of the leader of the Trump administration to understand. Easy to grasp, meaning it doesn't require the shallow victims of a lifelong con man to think very hard. And easy to grasp, as in embrace, meaning it allows deeply damaged people to be triggered and then externalize that anger by lashing out at someone like myself, a very sweet and caring man who only wants to appreciate and help other people. You know what else is easy? The song Easy by the Commodores, a group led by singer Lionel Richie. The commenter may prefer the Lionel Richie song Dancing on the Ceiling, however, because it represents the safe space where followers of the leader of the Trump administration can be blissfully unaware of basic science, such as gravity, for example. Lashing out is behavior by the followers of the leader of the Trump administration that is condoned and encouraged from the top down. The leader of the Trump administration and the Trump administration exist for one reason: to enact cruelty on the people that surround them. The leader of the Trump administration and the Trump administration have been able to achieve this because of the support of commenters like you who willingly bend over to do their bidding as victimized, manipulated cult members should. I am proud of you for fulfilling your role and am happy to be offering the chance to followers, victims, and plain old dum-dums to make the comment that most of them make, but you're not ignoring. If I can play this small role in allowing people like this to unleash just a tiny bit of their anger on me, maybe they will not do it to someone who is more vulnerable than I am. I am thrilled to have given you this opportunity to diffuse a bit of your frustration. And now I will go back to doing exactly what you commented on me not doing, ignoring the Trump administration. Day 193 of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump administration. I am not a self-help guru, but I am sometimes a lazy bones. I'm just trying to help myself. I phoned it in yesterday on day 192 of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump administration, and that was not right. Phoning it in reminds me of Beyonce and Lady Gaga in their iconic video for the song Telephone, which is exactly right, and which is also where the comparison ends, because unlike me, they would never phone it in, and in fact, those two legendary divas would likely be disappointed in me for coming up short in my delivery to you yesterday. The theme recently around here has been vulnerability, so I must admit to you exactly what I did. I have been burning the candle at both ends. I am in the final stages of writing a book. I am also keeping up with this series in order to give you and myself an encouraging message of mindfulness, optimism, and hope. And all the while, I am just trying to live my life and explore what there is for me when I practice what I preach here and take the time gained by turning away from the news of the day to enrich my life, enrich the lives of those around me, and become a better person. By phoning it in, which is what I did yesterday, I took the easy way out. I responded to a comment and attacked a follower of the leader of the Trump administration by referring to them as a cult member, referring to them as a victim of a con man, and referring to them as a person unloading their internalized anger by lashing out at me. Who am I to judge anyone else's lived circumstance or life? If I am going to comment on it, it should be in the context of empathy and kindness. And so, again, in keeping with the theme of vulnerability, I admit that to you because I want to earn your trust. So when I do comment on the leader of the Trump administration, and the followers of the leader of the Trump administration, you can know that I am doing it from a place of actual inspiration. That is what you should expect of me when I tell you that I am ignoring the Trump administration. Oh, hello. It's Josh Bloom. Thank you for staying tuned after hearing me admit how I sold all of you out by phoning in day 192 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. I made a promise to never do that again, and I will keep it. In the spirit of admission, confession, and vulnerability, I am writing this at almost noon on Friday. Why? Because I was texting with my crush and also talking to my best friend on the phone. Why was I doing that instead of doing this? Well, because we all need to prioritize people over podcasts. Please remember that phrase, people over podcasts. Thanks again for listening. Please leave a 5-star rating for the Josh Bloom podcast in your podcast app and leave a comment saying that you like the show. Don't forget to follow, and in the spirit of people over podcasts, I would like it if the next time you are in a retail establishment, as you are paying, that you please mention the Josh Bloom podcast to the clerk behind the counter. You can say, I just wanted to let you know that I am a people over podcasts person. If they don't reply, okay, here's your change, and instead say, really, what's that? You can say, it's the slogan that Josh Bloom of the Josh Bloom podcast made up while he was typing and then decided to tell his listeners to repeat it. The chances are that the clerk will become a fan of the show. Give it a try. Thank you. Lastly, visit me everywhere for everything by going to superjews.com. That's superjews.com for links to all of my social media, and visit superjews.substack.com to subscribe to my Substack, which contains all of my long-form writing. Subscriptions are free, or for a small monthly donation, you can support my work. It helps a lot. Thanks again for listening. I will see you next week.